department came out in mass and gassed women and children.
Protesters and police clash in Aurora. What started as a peaceful rally that shut down a highway,
justice needs to be served, and we are upset.
Turns violent as the sun goes down. Police now calling this an unlawful assembly.
Like, I'm just disappointed. Like, we're trying to honor my brother.
Started hitting us with the batons.
Pepper spray and riot gear. A day of peaceful protests over the death of Elijah McClain takes a violent turn at night. Thank you for joining us tonight. I'm Jacqueline Allen. Right now, Aurora police are cracking down on protesters. They say we're throwing rocks, sticks, and bottles at officers and ignoring orders to step back from police headquarters. So far, they have taken 3 people into custody, and tensions are still rising tonight. Denver 7's Lance Hernandez is at the Aurora Municipal Complex. Lance, at one point, police declared this an unlawful assembly and told people to exit the area. What are you seeing right now?
It was mainly a peaceful protest until about 8:40 this evening, Jacqueline. As you mentioned, police had been lined up in front of police headquarters all afternoon and all evening long behind a temporary fence. They told protesters to stay away from that fence, but some of them crowded up against it. And a few of them, most of them were peaceful, as I mentioned, but a few of them armed themselves with sticks and bottles. And police had repeatedly told them to step back from that fence. And when some of them started throwing the bottles and sticks and rocks, police responded with pepper spray and with tear gas. And that was indiscriminate use in terms of some of those protesters, not just the ones that were armed, but some of the peaceful protesters were hit with that gas too. They went fleeing to back up. We spoke with a number of folks that were out here this evening. They said that they were here to draw attention to Elijah McClain. And among those protesters, a couple of Elijah's sisters. I spoke with 2 of them.
We did have some people over there by the headquarters. It was still peaceful over there before they shot, but most of us was over there by the violin players, and it was very peaceful. So I feel like they're just trying to shut us down from continuing our protest today.
Now, one of the protesters told me, or one of the witnesses told me, that it was amazing work by some of the citizen paramedics that were here helping individuals that were hit with some of that tear gas. I spoke with one of the victims as well.
I mean, we were protesting for about 4 hours before they started to advance on us. Started hitting us with the batons in our stomachs, and they started pushing people, and I ran in, and they threw some tear gas.
That man still feeling the effects of the tear gas this evening. I also had a conversation with a young man who said, unlike most people here tonight, he doesn't get to go home and just go to bed without worrying about anything else. He says most people who haven't experienced police brutality have no idea what it's like to be followed, to be looked at with suspicion. And he says he wants people to be out here protesting until there is systemic change. Reporting live in Aurora, Lance Hernandez, Denver 7.
All right, thanks so much, Lance. We actually had one of our Denver 7 photographers who was hit by pepper spray as well. This started today as a peaceful protest, so we want to show this. Thousands of people gathering at the Aurora Municipal Complex in honor of Elijah McClain, at one point shutting down I-225 in Aurora as they poured onto the highway to protest. Almost a year ago, McClain died after an altercation with Aurora police and paramedics, and this case is now getting national attention. Just this week, the governor ordered prosecutors to reopen that investigation, and today, protesters say they also want the officers and paramedics fired, criminal charges, and restitution for McClain's family. We are joined now live on the phone by Aurora's interim police chief, Vanessa Wilson, as we look at Air Tracker 7 video live. Chief Wilson, at one point you declared what we're seeing here an unlawful assembly. Why did you make that call?
So, first of all, I just want to thank those that did come today and were peaceful in their demonstrations, were allowing their voices to be heard and their anger, and they had every ability, and we really appreciate them, how they did and working with us to keep this as safe as possible. Things changed. Unfortunately, we had an element that was determined to create havoc, regardless of other people in the crowd trying to dissuade them. They were arming themselves with stockpiling rocks, arming themselves with rocks. There were people that were armed with handguns in the crowd as well as a rifle. It became to the point where They also pushed our fence off down, trying to come towards our police department. It became to a point that we felt like we needed to call it. It became very dangerous for not only the peaceful people that were there, but our officers as well.
Unfortunately, no officers were hurt. You guys made about 3 arrests tonight. What are your thoughts about, this night and what we saw with these sort of clashes happening again?
So I think for all in all, the community did a great job. They were able to march peacefully down the street. They were able to let their voices be heard. We obviously protected them from anyone that might want to harm them in any way with a vehicle when they were taking the streets. But, like I said, the majority of this crowd tonight were here for all the right reasons. There were a group that were wearing helmets, arming themselves with sticks, and wearing face shields and goggles. And so all they were trying to do was to turn this into a violent encounter with police.
And you guys were tweeting about that throughout the night, saying there are people here with helmets, and then things started escalating sort of as the evening went on. Chief Wilson, thank you so much for talking to us tonight. We really appreciate your perspective. All right, this is how the protests were supposed to end tonight. A violin vigil honoring Elijah McClain, who played the violin. Musicians gathered outside the police station to play together and remember those taken too soon from this world. So here is another live look right now from Air Tracker as this protest is still going strong tonight with people gathered all around that area. I talked to Aurora police. They tell me the good thing is no officers were hurt. The violence was sparked what they call, you heard the chief say, a small group of agitators, possibly Antifa is how they described it to me, and they were disappointed that it came to this after a day of peaceful protests. We will have more live coverage throughout Denver 7 News at 10. We will be right back.